In a world where crime is everywhere, one man had a plan that would change history forever. He was known only as the Professor, a quiet, brilliant mastermind who spent his entire life preparing for the perfect robbery. But unlike ordinary thieves, he didn't want to steal money from a bank. He wanted to print his own money and challenge the system itself. To make his dream a reality, the Professor carefully selected 8 criminals from different backgrounds. Each one had unique skills, and to protect their identities, he gave them city names as code names: Tokyo, Berlin, Rio, Nairobi, Denver, Moscow, Helsinki, and Oslo. For 5 long months, they trained together in an abandoned house. They studied every possible scenario: police attacks, hostage situations, and escape routes. The Professor taught them one simple rule: no personal relationships and no real names. Finally, the day of the heist arrived. The team stormed into the Royal Mint of Spain, taking dozens of hostages and sealing the building. Panic spread across the country as police surrounded the mint. News channels broadcast the event live, and the entire nation watched in shock. But the robbers weren't there to steal cash from the vault. Their real mission was to stay inside long enough to print 2.4 billion euros. Outside, the police formed a command center and appointed Inspector Raquel Murillo to lead the operation. She was intelligent, determined, and under immense pressure to stop the criminals. Meanwhile, the Professor watched everything from a secret location. Using radios and surveillance, he guided the team step by step, always staying one move ahead of the authorities. Inside the mint, tension quickly began to rise. Some hostages tried to resist, others panicked, and the robbers themselves started to argue as stress and fear grew stronger each day. During a dangerous attempt to dig an escape tunnel, Moscow, Denver's father, was shot by police. Despite the team's efforts to save him, he died from his injuries. His death devastated the group and reminded them how risky their mission truly was. As time passed, the team successfully printed billions of euros while the Professor continued to manipulate the police with clever tricks. He created false leads, delayed negotiations, and used psychology to confuse investigators. In an unexpected twist, the Professor met Inspector Raquel in person at a cafe, pretending to be a normal man. Neither of them knew how dangerous their relationship would become. Slowly, they developed feelings for each other, creating a risky emotional bond. After days of chaos, gunfire, and negotiations, the robbers finally executed their escape plan. Using the tunnel they had secretly built, they escaped the mint with billions of euros, disappearing without a trace. The world was stunned. The heist became legendary, but peace didn't last long. Years later, one of the team members, Rio, was captured by international authorities. The Professor realized he had no choice but to reunite the gang for another mission. This time, the target was even more ambitious: the Bank of Spain. The goal was not just money, it was rescue and revenge. The team entered the heavily guarded bank and took control once again. They began melting the country's gold reserves into small bars, preparing for another daring escape. However, this second heist was far more dangerous than the first. The government deployed the military. Elite special forces surrounded the building, and the situation became a full-scale war. Inside the bank, tragedy struck when Nairobi, one of the most beloved members of the team, was shot and killed. Her death shook everyone and pushed the group to the edge of despair. Despite the loss, the Professor refused to give up. As the battle intensified, the team faced constant attacks from soldiers and police. Supplies ran low, and the pressure became unbearable. Then came the ultimate sacrifice. Tokyo, the fearless and rebellious member of the group, found herself trapped during a massive assault by special forces. Realizing there was no escape, she made a courageous decision. She detonated explosives, sacrificing her life to protect her friends and stop the advancing soldiers. Her sacrifice gave the team enough time to complete the plan. In the final stage of the heist, the Professor executed his most brilliant trick. He secretly replaced the real gold with fake bars, hiding the true treasure in a secure location. When the government discovered the truth, it faced a terrible dilemma. If the public learned the country's gold had been stolen, it would cause economic chaos. So the authorities made a secret deal. They allowed the robbers to walk free in exchange for the return of the gold and silence about what really happened. In the end, the Professor and his team disappeared once again, starting new lives under new identities. They became legends, not just for their wealth, but for their courage, loyalty, and the impossible dream they turned into reality. And that is the story of the greatest heist ever planned.